Hello guys, welcome to a Trading Parrot. At the moment, you can see that we have broken down on the 4-hour time frame. I want to talk about the potential targets that we can see for Bitcoin on the 4-hour. I want to have also a look into the past performance of seasonality when it comes to September into October, at this time relative to the halving cycle. I'm also going to cover an analysis on the weekly, what we need to do next, and what I'm thinking about this current candle on the weekly. Do not miss the developments on gold. We are currently testing support in Bitcoin. The moment that gold breaks down that trend line is expected to make a massive move to the upside, probably the most important of the week if we actually break down. We are in the process of printing a capitulation, but make sure that you do the right reading of this based on seasonality. This particular capitulation might mean something huge is about to happen when it comes to the price based on past performance. Stick around until the very end of the videos to make sure that you do not miss any of this important information. Guys, if you like this type of content, make sure that you are subscribed to the channel, hit the notification bell so you get notified every time I put out one of these videos. Yesterday we were very close to get to the 300 likes. I will really appreciate if you can hit that like so we can continue to put every morning one update on my Telegram, Instagram and Twitter, and every afternoon an update on YouTube. Let's get into the content. Let's get started with the 4-hour. Yesterday at 8 p.m. on my Telegram channel, Instagram and Twitter, I made you aware that we were testing the 4-hour support. I was fearing that at that point we could break the trend line that has been supporting us. And a breakdown from an area like this that has had so many touches and just going up like that can at the very least retrace 50% of the move. I also show you here this ascending broadening wedge, which is a bearish pattern. We were discussing as well about why are we going up if we are not going for the 67k, which is a very valid point, but we ended up closing a 4-hour candle below the ascending broadening wedge, and that is a very typical pattern for Bitcoin to take a retracement. And as you can see, we ended up closing below, and now we are forming a bearish flag in here. We broke below the RSI of 56 and we have already touched it as resistance. We are being held by the CPR monthly pivots. So far at 62k is holding us, but we have already tested that level 5 times in a row. There is a chance now that we come inside the pivots. There are 3 levels of pivots in every single month. On the daily we went above the support provided by this yellow line, and at the moment we are in the process of confirming this as new support, but we have a very big rejection here right below the point of control. Today as well I published an update at 9 AM that went to Telegram, Instagram and Twitter, and we did talk about this rejection on the daily. The point of control is very important. It's the most traded price in the past 6 months, and over that you can see it in here. We put a low, but we haven't been able to put a higher high. This is putting a lot of pressure on this bullish structure. Bitcoin must very quickly recover above this and put a new high. If we were to go in here and put a new low, we are basically destroying the structure that up until here is still bullish. It needs to continue going higher and challenge the top of the megaphone pattern to continue bullish. If we start putting new lows here, that means that we are delaying any potential breakout above the highs. I want to talk about the seasonality of Bitcoin. This is very important. In this particular chart, every red area is September and every green area is October. I decided to do that because typically September tends to be the worst month regardless of where we are in the cycle, and most of Octobers tend to be one of the best months. And on each of these arrows I'm highlighting the year that is equivalent based on halving events: 2020, 2016 and 2012. Let's go to 2012 and you can see that in September we went higher in the price, and in October we took a retracement. In 2016 we had the opposite. September went sideways and October went up. In 2020 September went pretty much sideways, a little bit of drops here and there, but actually recovering most of it, and October was really great. If we were to repeat this price action that we are seeing in here, that will look something like this and we could easily get above 70k. But again, that's just past performance. Since 2013, we have never had a September in the green with a red October. So far, that is the case. We still have time to revert that. Even though October is a red candle, it's still holding above the lower range. In September, we managed to re-enter in the range, which is great. The ratio of withdrawals versus deposits continues to drop even further. Right now, we are at 0.57, which is quite bullish. This weekly candle has me a little bit worried at the moment. Those weeks to the upside tend to be bearish, particularly on the weekly when we start seeing them at the top of the price. Hopefully, we can revert this before the end of Sunday. A second argument to do that before Sunday is this potential bearish cross that we have on the stochastic RSI on the weekly. If we remain at this price or lower, most definitely we are going to end up confirming the bearish signal. That is not necessarily something that if it play out, it cannot be undone. But the last time that we did this, going higher in the price, we actually ended up putting a lower low in the stochastic RSI, which will be really devastating after already having had 4 bullish crosses that all of them get invalidated. Invalidation 1, 2, 3, and now 4 invalidation. I'm sure that's gonna scare a lot of investors. Today, I wanna do another touch point on gold. I remind you that for a long time, we are looking for this bearish divergence on gold to play out, possibly breaking the support. You can see that we are dangerously getting very close to the support. I put this line in here, calling out for a potential top on gold. We put this vertical line pretty much around a month ago based on past performance and thanks to the help of these candles that were copied from the previous rally at the same time in the cycle of Bitcoin. That is a copy from here to around here, and we place it here forecasting that this should be the top of gold. So far we have 2 red candles there, so it's looking promising. If we continue in this red trajectory for gold, we could be breaking down this massive pattern that starts from October in 2023, 1 year of bounces with a potential breakdown of gold. If gold makes a move like this going into 2.3k, that will be equivalent to this breakdown that we have from 2,000 to 1,700, and that was enough liquidity out of gold, some of it going into Bitcoin, allowing Bitcoin as well to go higher. Today we are in the process of confirming a capitulation event from hash ribbon indicator. This indicator from Caprioli Investments uses both price action and hash rate readings from the Bitcoin network to understand when the miners are in stress, and clearly the hash rate has been fluctuating to the downside in the past days. If we zoom out a little bit here, we can see some big spikes to the downside. Same happened in this area in here, and the hash rate should pump big in order to prevent it. This is a candle information, but it's high likely that this capitulation event is gonna stay there. You're probably not hearing anything on crypto Twitter or any other channel because this is a signal information and you are the first one to learn about it. Looking at the past performance, particularly focusing on this area of the same cycle 4 years ago, you can see that we have in November a capitulation signal, and it's good that we have an idea of what can a capitulation event cause at this time, assuming that we are still in an uptrend. Well, you can see that here you get the capitulation and the price continue going higher. Eventually it gets to 19.4k and people take big profits because that was close to the all-time high, and the price sees a rejection of roughly 15% just to continue hitting that all-time high again and then making a big move 100% higher than the previous all-time high, reaching 40k. If we repeat that past performance, we should expect the price to continue going higher, hitting the all-time high 73, 73.5k. Seeing a rejection of 15% from there will take us back into 61k, and again repeating that past performance, price should be able to once again hit 73.5, but that time manage to hold above it. So if we draw that in the price, it will look something like this, hitting the all-time high, seeing that rejection, going back into 61k, and a few days after hitting it once again, taking it as support, and then continuing until 140k very quickly. That is pretty much what we did in the previous cycle. I wouldn't be surprised to see anything like that. This move, for example, went from 25 to 73k. That's 190% up. This move in here is 98. So it is doable, just being realistic. Whether we can achieve that at this time in the market, that will definitely depend strongly on monetary policies and global injections of liquidity, which we've been covering in the past weeks, and we have seen good progress, but we also saw a retracement in that aspect here on the RSI, meaning that the previous week was constricting the global liquidity, and the Fed actually sold a lot of their assets, continuing with their quantitative tightening. And with the good news about unemployment claims, there's a lot of people now speculating that in the next Fed meeting there might not be even cut rates. I think it's just a matter of time for quantitative easing, and we have seen in the past few days a big spike in support to Trump, at least when it comes to poly market. I think it made a high of 54%, but now it's taking a retracement to 52.8, which is still good. By the way, guys, in the previous days I forgot to mention this hive signal on the 4 hour and in the 1 hour. The 1 hour already play out to the target of 62.7. The 4 hour is halfway towards the target of 61.3. One of the things that has me a little bit worried at the moment is the lack of support in the order book. You can see that there's quite a big resistance at 65k with 47 million, and at 70k we have 52 million. Below the price in terms of support, we have a few chunks starting with 20 million, 26, 21. There's nothing that gets closer to 50. We used to have this 85 million that was clarified by Keith on Twitter that it actually got executed, even though with the resolution of the chart this doesn't look like. We covered last week this was a huge amount of liquidity. Even looking at the past year, there's nothing comparable to this, with the exception of this 100 million that we had on the 22nd of January this year. One of the things that still has me scratching my head when it comes to this breakdown bearish of the broadening ascending wedge and the breakdown from the RSI as well is the fact that we are living in here quite a large chunk of fair value gap. This spans just to 65.6. It's not enough necessarily to get us into 67, but below the price we only have this thin one at 61.5, and then we have sub 60s. So there are two alternative outcomes that are right now in a big fight. Number one, the breakdown of the ascending broadening wedge, which we are currently testing as resistance. If we continue seeing a rejection from this level in here, then we have to take this high and project it in here and then target that 57.2 liquidity, which is the most substantial level when we look at the lower end. This is small liquidity, this is small, and this is larger liquidity here in the middle, and that's precisely the target of that bearish pattern. But any pattern can fail. This could turn into a fake out. If there was a big liquidity buying in here, this could continue the trajectory to the top. We have seen that in the past, and we have to be prepared for potentially this W pattern on the RSI playing out as a bottom information to hit once against the 67 resistance. Remember that for a few minutes we were above this, grabbing liquidity from the top. It has been quite an impulsive move, and if this double bottom formation plays out, we could go back to that level and continue hitting the top resistance. Unfortunately, Unfortunately, on swing trading, my friends, you have to keep your eyes on what's going on. There is a big argument for this dumping to 57 if you are already in a short. There is a rejection in here currently going on, but you have to admit that this is nowhere near as big as if we manage to get to 67k. And there is a bunch of bullish elements playing out in the news at the moment. I'm sure that many people are going to start interpreting this as good for coin. I personally don't care that much about this. You know, my favorite part is just the technicals, but that doesn't mean that I live in a bubble. I keep an eye on what other people are thinking. Their sentiment is important to me. I do not get blind out with those things. I keep my attention and my focus on this. But a fake out thanks to them becoming over bullish, thanks to Trump leading in the polls and so far not having big escalations in geopolitical issues, could easily bring the price back into 67, trapping tons of shorts in here that are definitely going to hit the stop losses somewhere in there. Those stop losses that are currently forming in here could help fueling the move that we need to get to 67k. Make sure, guys, that you subscribe Coin Bureau sub-channel Trading. This is a channel that already existed before. We're gonna do some collaboration with Coin Bureau. I believe my first video should come out on Friday. Make sure that you subscribe the channel, write down comments. I will definitely need your support, guys. They also have a Twitter account that I will really appreciate if you can also follow us. Make sure that you have a look at the description down below in this video. I have plenty of my favorite crypto products, all of them with big discounts, promotion, bonuses. For example, on High Block Capital, you can get 15% discount if you use this link in here. If you open a new account on Bybit, you can claim up to 30,000 rewards with this link there. You can also connect it to my website to get a subscription for free. Any of these links that you're planning to use are definitely supporting the channel. So thanks so much for that, guys. I'll see you in the next one. Bye bye.